this possibly quite ceremonious day of Make It Stick. This could be the day we finish reading the book. Doesn't mean it's the last episode, but it does mark a serious milestone. Let's jump into Anki to see if we have any flashcards that are due today. We have 4. What are the 5 sections of 5? What are the 5 sections of chapter 5 of Avoid Illusions Knowing? Right. The 2 systems of knowing, memory or illusions and memory distortions. Mental models. Mental models. Unskilled and unaware of it. Tools and habits for calibrating your judgment. There it is. What are the 6 sections of chapter 6? Get beyond learning styles. Active learning from the get-go, structure building, rule learning. No. Yes. Active learning from the get-go, structure building, rule versus example learning. Learning differences that matter, the takeaway. I'm missing one. Successful intelligence. Active learning from the get-go, successful intelligence, dynamic testing, then structure building, then rule versus example learning, then takeaway. Okay. What is the main idea of chapter 7 of Make It Stick? Increase your abilities about in 1 sentence. Increase your abilities. It's about characteristics and mindset. Behaviors, characteristic, mindset, beliefs for continuous improvement in learning and increasing intelligence and abilities throughout life. It's also a little bit about mnemonic devices. What are the 5 sections of chapter 1? What are the 3 subsections within one of the sections? Claims you make in this book. Empirical evidence versus theory, lore, and intuition. Within that, you've got people misunderstand learning. You've got people misunderstand learning. Illusions of knowing. Dang it, it's something else. And then it goes into what? Oh, those are 2 subsections. So, claims making the book, empirical evidence versus theory, lore, and intuition. Knowledge, not sufficient, but necessary. Testing, learning tool versus dipstick, and then the takeaway. And within empirical evidence versus theory, lore, and intuition, we got learning, or people misunderstand learning, illusions of knowing, what the evidence shows. Early evidence. Claims making this book, empirical evidence versus theory, lore, and intuition. People misunderstand learning, early evidence, illusions of knowing, knowledge not sufficient but necessary, testing, dipstick versus learning tool. Very close. We'll say again. Okay. That's it for right now. What did we learn about yesterday? Do we finish up Jiffy Lube yesterday? No, we would have finished up the next thing. What was after Jiffy Lube University? Actually, we may have finished it up. We finished up Jiffy Lube University yesterday, which is like their Jiffy Lube's training system. Incorporates a lot of online e-learning. It has a dashboard, visual dashboard for showing your progress, what skills, certifications you have, where to focus on next. Once they master one position, one service, one skill, then they start training the next until they've worked through all the different positions and services within the business. It's accredited, after the implementation of after the inception of Jiffy Lube University, Employee churn has gone down. Customer satisfaction has gone up. I just love the idea of building learning systems and improving learning systems, especially for businesses. That sounds awesome. But just in general, I really like the idea, because it's everything. If you can train everybody better, look what happens. Clients get better results, they stay longer, they're happier, employees are happier, they're more fulfilled, they make more money, they provide more value, they have more purpose, and they leave less. It's like amazing. Everything works better when you learn better. All right, then we started the second to last section, which is on Anderson Windows. This was talking about their culture of continuous learning and how engagement of employees at all levels is key to a culture of continuous improvement. Engagement meaning they constantly are encouraging and incentivizing employees of all different levels to present their recommendations for ways they can improve their job, make it more efficient, make the business better from the things they know, what they see in their front lines of their business, what they think could be improved, and through doing so, if it approved from managers, they get to help work on the project to see that improvement through. This is great, leads to incremental improvements constantly, but it really shows when they do their, what do they call it? It's a Japanese word. It's called a stretch event. Kaizen. It's a Kaizen event. And this is where it's an event in which the company sets an ambitious goal that cannot be reached through incremental improvements alone. So the company has to, there has to be a small team that comes together to plot and plan and figure out how they're going to restructure things. It takes some restructuring, not just incremental improvements. And through this restructuring, after the restructuring occurs, that's when these little improvements really shine, because after they make a big change, there's tons of new little optimizations that the employees who are engaged get to present and implement. Right. So they also, just an interesting thing, they switch tasks every 2 hours to probably mainly to avoid repetitive strain injuries, as well as just sheer zoning off. But it also, interestingly, is a form of interleaving, whether they knew that or not. So now I think we're just about to start the last section of the book, which is an acupuncture place. I think it's called an inner gate acupuncture. And it was actually a client of the business consultant Meixner Consulting from earlier in this chapter. All right, we got everything. Integrate acupuncture, company culture, continuous improvement, engagement, seeking employee ideas at all levels is a key. Okay, Kaizen event. Did I say that? Kaizen. Workers can suggest improvements. If improvement emerging, implement, rotate, hours. Employee engagement. University dashboard. All right. Yeah, here we are. Got a little bit of time. We're not a little bit of time. Let's do it. I'll be back to recall. Maybe we'll finish, maybe we'll not, but we'll see. All right, we finished chapter 8. Intergate acupuncture was really about two acupuncturists who were really successful, or they were growing their business fast, and then they realized they didn't really know how to run a business, so they had to learn how to run a business and all the systems of a business. And so they used a lot of coaching, a lot of generation, a lot of elaboration, a lot of questioning, a lot of role playing and simulation to train from their business coach to them, and then from them to their employees and clinicians. And overall, kind of this whole book was a book about learning, not about education. Learning is mostly in the hands of the individual. Questions of education are also important, and I think they're super important, but they weren't addressed in this book, because this was a book on the learning science. And education, are we teaching the right things? What do we teach? How do we measure success and learning outcomes? is college, like a college degree, overpriced? Are we reaching children young enough to begin their education? So these are all educational questions, but that weren't addressed in this book. But yeah, that's largely in the hands of institutions. So maybe someday I'll look into more education-based material. I have a really good education book, but it's thick, and as you can see, it's taken almost 4 months to get through a standard book, like using these techniques to really master the material, as far as potentially, I think. I kind of knew, but I didn't really realize there was a notes to pages. So within the text, like there'd be parts where there's like a number. I guess I never even really noticed the numbers that much. I didn't see the numbers in the text. There's one. So there's like notes in the back of the book. So maybe I'll just scan these tomorrow. A lot of them, I didn't want to flip all the way back every time, because a lot of this stuff is just citing studies, links, or something like that. And then sometimes there's information that actually adds to the text. So maybe I'll just scan through this stuff tomorrow, and if there's anything valuable. Some of these are longer, so there's definitely like information here. I'll see if I can find anything of note. On top of that, I read the suggested readings, just scanned through the studies as well as the books. And then there's an acknowledgement section, so I might read that as well, just to finish it out, and then index that I'm not going to touch. So here we go. Well, let's actually bookmark it at the beginning of chapter 8, because I gotta summarize what this chapter is about. So tomorrow we're gonna basically put what was this section about, what was this chapter about, to make it stick, and then chapter 8, and then we'll scan through the note section, and after that we'll read the acknowledgement. So we may not get probably won't get through all of that tomorrow, so we might have another 2 days of this, but then we will be done with this, and we'll be going into ChatGPT quiz for chapter 8. So, and then Anki cards for chapter 8, and then maybe one more video where I just kind of say what I learned, a summary from all recall about chapter Make It Sick. Maybe someday I'll make like a polished video about the true summary of Make It Stick, but it's just not that valuable use of my time right now. I'm much more interested in continuing to learn rather than polish a video. So yeah, after we finish Make It Stick, which will probably be done within a week, I'd say a week is a good goal, or a good estimate. I'll probably take a little break, just let myself breathe a little bit. We finished another project not kind of recently, so it's been a little bit chiller now. I like it to have a little bit of a break. We weren't doing super hard and not going to burnout or like a red line, but it was putting in significant effort. So just to breathe a little bit, and then I think the next book after Make It Stick will be, where are you? Here it is. Mindset by Carol Dweck will probably be the next book. So I have a hard copy over here. You know what's funny about this book is it's almost the exact same situation. It's almost the exact same situation as this Make It Sick, where I was reading it slowly, like just like a page or two at a time at night before I went to bed. This was back in California, but it was actually the paperback, and I never finished it. Just like this book, like if you remember, I was about, how far was I before I think I was about 80 pages in before I stopped, and then I came back months later to do it like I did it this time. It is no mess around, like total annihilation of it. And let's see what happened with mindset the first time. I mean, this was really, both these books have been life-changing, mind-changing for me. This I was reading very slowly at night in California, and it was really, really great before going to bed when I was my first real semester of college. Looks like I got about 100 pages in, so very similar situation. So I'd like to just nail this time, you know, just like we did with Make It Stick. Leave no page unturned, and this is very similar. Very similar. This book has 64 pages, 11 more pages than Make It Stick. Let me see if that's kind of eerie how similar these books are. Yeah, 264. And this had 253. Anyway. That's it for today. Talk to you tomorrow. See ya.